Welcome to this edition of Hindsight is Horrifying, the show where three mostly normal and somewhat cynical adults discuss life as members of the TV generation. Now here are your hosts, Darth Jada, Jason Mitchell, and Adam B.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
And welcome back to another exciting edition of... Is that because it's
What?
It's a TriStar production.
It's a TriStar production. So
What does that
that's-
happen to TriStar Pictures? They used to make movies, but they don't make movies anymore.
I love how shows used to begin in the 80s. I love the old vanity cards,
Yeah,
you know.
the nostalgia of it. I hadn't thought about that Pegasus
yeah.
running on screen in years until I had to watch this last night.
It was all the Rambo films.
Yeah, oh yeah.
TriStar.
Yeah.
How many people can we kill in 2 hours? TriStar Pictures presents.
Let's
A lot.
TriStar and
Trust
find
me,
out.
It can be a lot. Well, we are back, and we have moved on to another decade. We are now, for the next several, basically until we get tired of it, weeks, we are going to be talking exclusively about movies from the greatest generation ever.
Hell yes.
Be still my beating heart.
Couldn't agree more.
The 1980s. And it fell to me to pick the first movie.
It was your first pick,
It was
yes.
my first pick.
Mhm.
And I wanted to pick an absolutely 80s movie, a movie that
God,
could not have been made in any other decade but the
You
1980s.
nailed it.
So here was I had a list of things it had to have.
Yes. Okay.
It had to have a teenager as the hero, or at least the central, character.
Check.
Very
Okay.
Sean Astin of you.
It had to have a wise African-American man.
Ooh. So we
who
just
held-
ruled out Red Dawn.
Oh, yeah, see, there you go.
Wolverines.
It had to have a montage.
This one had like 40.
Yeah, we got montage in this one.
God.
And it had to have a kick-ass 1980s soundtrack.
Yeah.
And it absolutely
Mhm.
does. We are today doing one of my all-time favorite movies that I've seen a million times. It's Iron Eagle.
Doug Masters. He's 18 years old. Raised on an airbase.
Are you out of your mind?
Born to fly. Living for the day he'll earn his wings. Suddenly, just when life was going great,
Doug, it's your dad. He's been shot down. Hey, buddy. Davis, hey, it's okay.
Hoorah.
Yes.
Why the Air Force people are called gay, now we understand.
Oh, what the hell?
I love the Air
Damn,
Force.
dog.
I love the Air Force.
Damn. Says a lot coming
Spoken
from
like a true sailor.
I was about to say,
God.
Sorry.
yeah, the Navy, though.
Those seamen are bitter.
Yeah. I mean, the Navy's full of seamen. Everywhere, seamen. Go on any USS, whatever. You're going to look everywhere. You're going to see seamen.
But not all seamen live in Cumming. Unlike the one we
Oh,
know.
God, we're so far off track already.
Okay, well, how about I loop
Yeah.
us back around? Because I have not one, but two synopses today. And after I read the first one, you'll understand why. So, for those of you who haven't seen this 1980s
No, this
classic,
isn't because it got retconned or anything like that, right? You got two synopses
no, they're separate.
of this movie.
Yeah.
Was it an
Because-
alternate ending?
Because there is some retconning in the Iron Eagle cinematic universe, and we'll get to that later
Oh,
on.
Okay,
Okay.
so, no, you'll understand as soon as I read the first one. So on the Amazon Prime app where I watched this movie, the synopsis is, somewhere out there, they have his father. Someone has to do something. Anything. That's the synopsis.
Well, that was the 1980s in a nutshell, wasn't it?
Yes, but an article that I pulled in my Darth Jader
Anything.
notes today gave us something far more substantial, which was there might be a falsehood in this one too, but Iron Eagle tells the tale of would-be test pilot Doug, rejected by the Air Force because he wasn't a strong enough flyer. They distinctly say it's
No.
because of his grades.
It was his grades.
Yeah, it's absolutely because of his grades.
Okay, so that one's messed up
Yeah.
too. But along with veteran Colonel Chappy, Doug borrows an F-16 from the U.S. Air Force to save his father, who is stranded in hostile enemy territory across the Atlantic.
yeah.
Rogue State.
So that makes
Rogue State. Well, oh, you know what? That's not a requirement for an 80s, perfect 80s
Yeah,
movie. But
there
but
didn't need
Rogue
to be a real country.
Rogue States were a pretty
Or
big
st-
thing.
Because I kept watching this. I was like, where are they?
Well,
Didn't all the rogue states in the 80s people wear turbans?
every one of them.
Pretty much. That's
Every
right.
one of them, yeah.
La, 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 la.
Well, Josh was
the
having-
movie industry is basically owned by the CIA, and they, well, like somebody pointed out, did you know? I never made this connection before. In Back to the Future, the bad guys are Libyans.
Oh yes, of
and,
course.
And as a kid, I didn't realize that the movie actually took place before we hated Libya. And
So it really drove
so it was
that
like, it was
point
just sort of
home.
like priming everybody. Oh, Libya, those are bad guys. They
Yes.
shot Doc Brown.
They did indeed.
They did.
In a random mall scene.
Yes. Iron Eagle, like I said, is one of my absolute all-time favoriteest movies. I've seen this movie 1.5 million times. I watched this movie whenever I was a kid. I mean, it was probably once a month.
It was the sweet
Yeah.
spot for you
Oh,
at
yeah.
that age because it's kids that conquer adults.
And this is not the first time we've done a movie that fits that description.
Correct.
Because you had us do Toy Soldiers, which is why I was referring to Sean Astin. But
Well, yeah, and that's a theme. Toy Soldiers was 90s, though, wasn't it?
and Louis Gossett Jr. was in
Louis
that movie
Gossett
too.
Jr. was, yeah, he was in that
this was
also,
kind of
yeah.
his sweet spot as well. So there you go.
And as far as the cast goes, I mean, we should mention that the cast includes Louis Gossett Jr.
Like I just did.
And well, actually, you know what? No, there is
Jason Gedrick,
Yeah,
Doug, the main
Doug,
guy.
yeah, Doug Masters.
Who did-
Fucking awesome name. Doug Masters.
Oh yeah.
Who's
Yeah.
a TV
Back-
actor.
No, he's done
Yeah,
a lot.
he's done a bunch of
He's
stuff.
done a lot.
But did
Did he ever continue with that fishing show?
fishing show?
Well, he was a good baiter. And never mind,
I
Doug
bet.
Masters.
Let's look it up.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Doug Masters.
Oh, God.
Would that make
He was-
him?
He was in one episode of Lethal Weapon, the TV series.
And he was in a Supernatural.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You're talking to the wrong person. I
No,
never really
yeah.
got into
I don't
Supernatural.
remember him from it.
But he's done a lot of work, and clearly this is one of his early ones. He's,
Oh, yeah.
he's getting into the acting.
He was
thing.
on an episode of
But
Justified?
There's another cast member that I'm guessing you didn't recognize, the villain.
Oh,
Oh, I
that'd
was
be
about to bring up
Poirot?
somebody else entirely.
Poirot.
There he is, right there.
Yeah.
The villain of our movie.
Tony
Uh,
Shalhoub.
No, he's
In the
he's a-
movie, he
David
looks vaguely.
Suchet.
Yes.
yeah,
David
a very
Suchet.
famous English actor.
Oh, yeah,
of
he's-
stage and screen.
Yeah.
And then someone I recognize, but guarantee neither of you did.
Dr. Z from Galactica 1980.
No. Doug's girlfriend,
Oh,
played by Melora Hardin, also known worldwide as Jan from The Office.
Oh.
She dated
really?
Steve Carell. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
I'm going to have to. Okay.
You'll see
yeah,
it in a
yeah.
minute when because she hasn't
Yeah,
come on screen yet.
Well, I do have to tell the audience too. We have to be a bit sparing with the video clips that we show on.
Yeah,
this
this
one
movie's a
because-
little too
because
popular.
YouTube's gonna
Flag us.
flag us.
Straight
but
to jail.
but for and just as a little notice, if you have had any trouble because some of ours we've had to go in and remove the parts of the movie that we use, even though it's fair use.
He's not
if
pissed
you-
off about that at all.
Well, it's just a pain in the butt. But if you go to Rumble, if you go to our Rumble page, all the videos that are there are uncut, unedited, raw. You know, it's just, you can see it as God intended it. So if YouTube gives us a problem and you're watching this and there's blurred bits, I'll put a link down below and that'll take you over to the same
Very
video
cool.
on
superior
Rumble.
site, yeah.
Honestly, yeah. And we're
Here she comes.
monetized there. So
Melora Hardin, there she is.
so let's take a look. Oh my God, you're right.
I saw her and I was like, Jan. And I looked it up to make sure I wasn't being crazy. And yeah, it's definitely Melora Hardin.
Oh, that's another thing that makes it a great 80s movie is you've got to have a bunch of
Lost Boy.
Nerdy guys
names.
holding back
Yeah,
a guy from fighting.
Yeah, it's got to be the good kids that that are the nerdy ones, and they're being harassed by the bad guys.
Also known as
Who-
Notcher in his game.
Notcher,
Who pops like 40,000 wheelies on
Well,
his
of course,
motor.
his name is Notcher.
No, but seriously, I lost count at like 7 because Notcher's mission is to get Doug to race him, which we've got to talk about that.
Oh,
Because
we will.
that
We're
race
definitely
makes
gonna-
no
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, we'll get
The
there.
snake.
Nacho Grande.
Yeah, the and also actually, by the way, speaking of,
I was trying not to laugh at that.
I'm pretty sure that kid, not him, but one of Doug's friends, the guy on the left there, wasn't he in Toy Soldiers?
He might have
looks
been.
like he, might have been.
He looks like
What's
he
his
was.
name?
Who the hell knows?
The guy on the right was in Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
Tony.
Yeah.
So Jerry Levine or Levine.
So anyway, yeah.
I will find out.
The movie, like I said, when I was a kid, I saw this 1.5 million times, and it was just so like it never occurred to me how utterly implausible it was. And by the time I was old enough to realize how utterly implausible it was, I didn't care.
No.
Well, see, that's the
It had already
unfortunate side.
imprinted itself
Oh, yeah, I
into your
didn't care.
brain. It
That-
was wonderful.
You
Yeah.
have the nostalgia factor. I do not, because I watched this movie for the first time
I
last
can't
night.
believe that.
Say what?
I cannot
Yes,
believe
for
that.
real. And
Unbelievable.
Josh had never seen it either. And
What?
Yeah,
Josh
he
had
was
never.
living overseas during most of the 80s.
Well, I know, but I can't believe he's never seen Iron Eagle.
Well,
his childhood was incomplete. There's just no two ways about it. Then,
well,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, but he may not have been in the, I don't know, out of the country yet.
Well,
but I
I
don't
didn't
know.
see it in the theater. I mean, I
Well-
saw it on HBO and then VHS.
I saw it in the theater.
Oh, that's awesome.
Did you?
I did. I was a freshly minted ensign in the United States Navy at Nuclear Power School in Orlando, Florida. And we went to the Fashion Square Mall to watch
Oh my God.
Iron
The
Eagle
Fashion Square.
I've been there many times.
Fashion Square
I've been there many
Mall.
times.
right in
Yeah.
the center.
But you'll be interested to know what Josh's take on this movie was, which was, and this is before we're even like 15 minutes into it. He goes, wow, it's Top Gun if you ordered it from wish.com.
No, it's not anything like Top Gun. Actually, there is a
I have an entire article. We can get into that.
there
in a
is a
minute.
connection between this movie and Top Gun, but it's a sad connection.
Well, not necessarily. I might have some thoughts on that.
We've got happy and we have sad.
Well, the
juxtaposition.
the guy we are coming up
I'm
to
Chappy, not
basically
happy.
the opening sort of it's not really an inciting incident. That's whenever Doug's father is shot down over his in the Middle East.
Is
And-
Tim
Gurkha,
Thomerson.
Gurkha. But we get to know Doug pretty quickly as a sort of he's a good kid, but he's easily sort of pushed, a little bit by bullies and things like that. And what he ends up doing is he ends up racing.
They are kind of terrorizing his girlfriend.
Well, they are, which again is an 80s thing.
Yeah.
But they end up going on they hold a race, Doug and Notcher, and it's a race between a dirt bike and a Cessna. And and as a kid,
It's close.
It's close.
Yes.
It's close because there's chicanery at foot.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But no, they go on a race through. It's a canyon called the Snake, right?
Yes.
And for the life of me, I've never figured out how this race actually works because the plane. I know they set an altitude limit,
50 feet.
50 feet. I guess I don't know how they monitor that. I
I'm
guess it's
pretty
an honor
sure-
system.
Pretty sure Louis Gossett just patched that Cessna with gum.
Well, he changed the fuel mixture.
So it can
Yeah.
operate at low
Because-
No,
speed.
Yeah.
just from how he
I heard you
reached
were
it.
running the Snake.
Yeah.
I don't know
How did he hear that
fucking-
quickly?
I don't know.
This is before cell phones.
Hey, he's the wise African American man,
Yeah.
as
Word on
Jason
the
pointed
street.
out.
Everything.
He's got special powers. How else could you take an F-16 from America to whatever country that
To
is
Iraq.
across the
Right.
To
Atlantic?
Gurkha. Yeah. Gurkha.
Because this is from Poland, right? And it's a
yeah,
long way away.
Well, no, they actually mentioned. Well, okay, so
They wind up.
the ultimate plot of the movie is Doug Masters wants to join the Air Force. His father is a fighter pilot. He
Yes.
flies F-16s. He's a Viper pilot. Although they never use that word in this movie.
No, they don't. They
never
strictly say F-16.
Yeah, they never.
F-16s.
Yeah, they never say Viper. And I have to think that was someone in the Air Force who said no. We use the official name.
Well, that was a big part of this.
Although the Air Force didn't really help him that much.
Okay, third wheelie. But yeah, so that was a big part of the whole Top Gun versus Iron Eagle argument because so many people make the false assumption that Iron Eagle is a ripoff of Top Gun.
No.
And it's not because it came
Absolutely
out several months before Top Gun did.
Yeah, they actually pushed up the premiere of Top Gun of Iron Eagle because they were afraid of competing with Top Gun. And actually, one of the connections here is if you see the stunt flying, you've got great stunts. You got the kid on the dirt bike, and you've got the guy in the Cessna. The pilot flying the Cessna for the filming, he was also involved in Top Gun. And he was filming the flat spin sequence. He was filming the cockpit footage
Didn't realize
of the
that.
flat spin. Yeah, crashed. And it killed him.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Yeah, so this was actually, this and Top Gun were his last two movies.
Oh, geez.
But yeah, it's so this guy, and you can tell the guy's a hell of a pilot.
Oh,
and he's just got
absolutely.
He might
Look
be
at
the
it.
same guy.
tons of credits.
Could he be the guy from Lethal Weapon flying the helicopter that was basically politely tapping on the limousine in the
no,
desert?
I think he just was fixed wing. I don't think he did any rotary wing.
Fine, be
stuff.
that way.
Rotary-
Ruin my dreams. See if I care.
I'm not drunk. I just can't say rotary. Rotary wing.
Judicial system.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the point of that, the juxtaposition between Top Gun and Iron Eagle, one of the big ones was that the U.S. Air Force wouldn't have anything to do with Iron Eagle. So every time, besides the Cessna, whenever you see an Air Force plane flying, it's not real.
Stock?
No.
Yeah. Not
No.
stock. It's just they didn't.
Well, do you know which Air Force provided F-16?
English?
No, they didn't.
French?
No, they don't fly F-16s. At the time, there was a big user of the F-16, and think about the territory where most of the combat takes place. It's the Israelis.
Oh, the Israelis.
It's the Israelis.
Yeah, because the Air Force is. Sorry.
And in fact, there was a sequence where they were filming, and I don't know if it was one of the training sequences or what, but they're up there, and the aircraft had dummy weapons, but they also had real stores on there also because they were flying. You know, it's everything is contested airspace there, and there was something happened, and they needed to get some Vipers to go and check it out. So they said, well, there's 2 flying over here. Let's vector them over there and check out whatever situation it is. So they do it. They call in. These guys are hauling ass in that direction. And then somebody goes, hey, wait a minute. They're filming a movie, right? And I'm like, yeah, filming a movie. Are they playing Americans by any chance? Yeah.
Oh, no.
So do the planes say U.S. Air Force all over it? Yeah. We have to get those planes back now.
Now. Well, because
it would have caused a hell of an international incident.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and the Air Force's longstanding policy to not condone depictions of aircraft theft, no matter how heroic and over the top.
And awesome.
That's what the result was. They had to find another source for airplanes.
Yeah, I mean, now I bet you Jerry Bruckheimer could have gotten them to do whatever he wanted.
Well, apparently, Top Gun
This
really...
was the chicanery, the smoke coming out.
Charcuterie?
Charcuterie. Is this a gender reveal by any chance that they're about to do? Have you seen the news?
Oh, about the guy the Mexican helicopter?
It was a Cessna, like a wing just came right off.
Oh, shit. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Do not do these. Don't even participate in gender reveals. No. Just say it's going to be a girl.
Yeah. People like get killed.
Oh, yeah.
Frequently doing these
Didn't someone's
things.
grandma get killed?
Oh, yeah. Piece of shrapnel hit her in the neck.
Shrapnel? What happened? Whoa.
They had an explosive for the gender reveal. A piece of shrapnel caught her in her carotid.
Grandma got cut in half by shrapnel.
I mean, bring in one generation, eliminate
well, there
the next.
It's a zero-sum game.
Wow.
Too soon? Too soon.
There's no such thing.
Yeah. Anyway.
So the Cessna is in a tight race with the motorcycle.
Yeah.
It's like a dirt bike. It's not even like a full motorcycle, isn't it?
Well, I think we're way into this. We haven't actually established the fact that Doug Masters' father, Air Force pilot, Viper pilot, is shot down over Turkmenistan, which is run by
Turbanville,
Prime Minister David Suchet.
Yeah.
And
also known as Tony Shalhoub.
It's not Tony Shalhoub. It doesn't look like Tony Shalhoub.
He does a little in the movie because of his mustache.
He looks like an egg.
Well, in that picture he does, but he's got a full head of hair in this movie.
Yeah, he
and
does.
He has the Tony Shalhoub mustache. It's different from that Snidely Whiplash thing that you just showed us. But yeah, it's Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's shot down and he is captured by David Suchet. And David Suchet decides that he is going to execute him, but not right away.
I admire your ability to withstand pain. God, he sounds so French and he's supposed to be Middle Eastern.
But the bad guy decides he's going to execute Doug Masters' father.
For what?
But not, well, just being a dick.
What for?
For being an ugly American.
Yeah, that was, again, 1980s.
Because
that was
he
how
kept
that worked.
saying, and maybe I just missed it all, or thought I did, because he was like, I need you to sign this confession. It's awfully inconvenient that you won't, even though we're going to execute you in 3 days regardless. So what was the official crime?
American
There's not one.
pig. He's an American pig.
He was, it was an act of aggression by the Americans. We're going to execute you.
Okay.
But we're not doing it today. We're going to wait. Though we could.
To buy your son some time.
Exactly. We want to wait until Act 3 is well and truly started.
Over an hour and 15 minutes into the movie.
Yeah. But what happens is Doug assumes that the Air Force and the U.S. government's going to go in there with guns blazing. They're going to get Dad out.
Because Ronnie Reagan was the president.
And it's
not the peanut guy.
Yeah. And it's going to be a short movie. Yeah. It's going to be
President Carter was no longer in office.
That's right. The peanut fella.
that's not what happens.
No.
And the U.S. government decides.
You mean the U.S. government wasn't
Yeah.
going to spend millions of dollars to save one dude in Durkistan?
I mean, you know,
It's worth it.
it's worth it.
Yeah. Send in
Yeah.
some seals.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
but that's why Doug is outraged. Because
Yeah, he's pissed off. Yeah. So,
it's his dad.
so Doug Masters decides that what he's going to do, that the most logical thing to do is hatch a scheme.
With
a
his
1980s scheme.
with his fellow Eagles.
Yes.
Because
Civil Air Patrol.
Yeah. And well, because all of Doug Masters' friends are children of various people in the Air Force. So the way it apparently works is that if your dad is like in a navigation role, you like genetically also are good at that. And
Well,
you can go steal your dad's stuff and
Hey,
you just know what to do.
If Goose's son is any indication, then
Oh my God, yeah, that is
that's
true.
100%
Yeah.
true.
That is
Rooster.
true.
Rooster.
But so the plan is we're going to use all of our teenage friends. We're going to steal everything we need from the U.S. Air Force.
We're going to work the system
We're gonna-
super hard.
We're going to work the system.
Break every law imaginable.
And we're going to steal the F-16s, go over there, and I don't know how the plan was supposed to work from there because
they
it's an
say-
air-to-air aircraft, and you don't typically rescue people with fighter planes.
No.
You know, but
Oh, but if you're Louis Gossett Jr., you do.
yeah. So the plan is to land. Like, you know,
No,
this is-
because
yeah.
having been in the Army, Josh was like, kid, there's a fair amount of land stuff that's going to have to be involved in this rescue mission of yours. Like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. You think you're going to have all that time to just scoot in there, land, and get him
Yeah.
back? And
Just drop a Hades.
Tell
Drop a Hades bomb.
tell Josh I'm seriously considering pulling my recommendation I gave to the Council of Gen Xers. Because we do let
unless he's not in love with this movie the way that you are.
No, if you don't have a healthy respect for Iron Eagle, you don't think you can be a Gen Xer.
I think this is the first
Sorry,
negative
yeah.
thought you've ever had about him. So, wow.
I'm just saying, you know. But anyway, so to accomplish this goal, we have to use a montage.
Yes.
Montage,
yes.
montage.
And it's a great montage.
It is awesome.
And we need one of the greatest actors of the 1980s, Louis Gossett Jr.,
Of Jaws 3D fame.
of Jaws, of like everything.
Of so many movies.
Enemy Mine. I mean, you could go on forever. with Louis
Officer
Gossett
and a
Jr.
gentleman.
Yeah, I mean,
Of course, that's the movie you reference.
Mm-hmm.
This is an Air Force movie, Mr. Brown.
I
Get
know.
over it.
I keep steering back to the Navy. I don't know why.
well, you know,
It's a
wasn't-
mystery.
I was in the Navy. They should have known.
what?
It's true.
Hold
it's true.
the damn
It's
phone.
true.
So
My life is a lie.
Let's talk about Louis Gossett Jr. because he's awesome.
Let's.
His character in this, Chappy
Charles
Charles,
Sinclair.
and
Whose best friend's name is
Slappy.
Slappy.
Slappy and
I
Chappy.
could not recover from that last
No,
name.
who Mr. Brown was pointing out a comparison.
He was
To
in
another-
Weird, he was in Weird Science.
Yep,
and
another episode
many
of
other
ours.
films actually that I looked up, playing a similar role. Guy that talks like this.
And somehow is found in a bar,
He's always in a bar.
apparently.
Oh, he was in Terminator. He played a
guy in a bar.
derelict in a Terminator. You remember?
No.
I think the Terminator just like
No, I remember that.
killed someone. He's like, "Hey man, don't do that to that fellow."
It's like I'm looking Slappy in
Red
the
as
face.
Slappy.
Like, oh my God, that impression.
I know I'm not good at impressions.
Well, but he is actually one thing that I didn't know when I was a kid is he's actually based on a real person,
Chappy, not Slappy.
Chappy.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
The Slappy's based on pretty much
Chappy is
every
based
bar.
on, I'll pull it up. This is based
bar
on
fly,
this
I know.
this guy, General Daniel Chappy James Jr., who was I did a little bit of reading today. Fucking badass.
Vietnam War hero.
He was a Tuskegee Airman
Oh, even better.
and Korea,
Damn.
flew fighters in Korea, and flew fighters in Vietnam.
Holy shit.
He sports a blue uniform very well.
Yeah, and he was the first African American to get 4 stars.
Damn.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
All right.
Yeah, he was only in the post for a little while. He had heart trouble, and I think he actually had to separate like a year after he got his 4th star, and then he passed away shortly thereafter. So it was sort of, I don't know. I mean, surely it was a tribute. I've never heard anybody say directly, but it has to be.
Yeah, there's
That's-
no way
that's
it's
for
not.
sure.
based on.
For sure.
Yeah. And Chappie's just a great, when I was a kid, we all wanted someone like that,
Yeah.
that could teach us how to do something awesome like martial arts or fly an F-16.
Yeah.
But
You need your Mr. Miyagi's of the world, your Chappies,
yes,
those wise men in your life that teach you how to do the impossible.
Yeah, which again, I mean, that was just a thing that you had in the 1980s. You always had the wise mentor. And so they come up with a plan, and that's the movie. It's executing the plan.
And they just keep saying, the plan, stick to the plan, kids, stick to the plan. And it's just like, what is this fantastic plan of yours?
Well, the part about it that gets me is the fact that they're going to steal airplanes from, like, presumably California.
Something that they did have a tanker that helped them to
They had a
refuel,
tanker,
but
yeah.
still, with a single refuel, you're not going to make it to
No.
your breakfast stand.
Look at those Jeffrey Dahmer glasses on that poor kid.
You recognize him? Didn't you ever watch Galactica 1980?
Oh, yeah.
It was Dr. Z, the little guy with the round glasses
Yeah,
and
with
blonde hair.
Yeah, and he always creeped me out.
He did.
Yeah,
he was creepy, but
yeah.
Well,
still
it's
working.
the Dahmer glasses, I'm telling you.
Yes.
I actually want one. I want an Iron Eagle jacket. That would be just the coolest thing.
Oh, yeah.
So wait, do they all know how to fly? Like, or is that just like their little gang? Why do they have Iron Eagle jackets?
They're all pilots. They're all
test pilots.
no.
Well, no,
they're just civilian
Yeah.
like pilots.
they fly Cessnas. You know, kids can
okay.
do that.
Yeah.
Well, you only see 2 of them fly, so I wasn't sure about that. I know.
I'm pretty sure that all of the friends are.
It's a flying club,
pilots.
and they're
it's-
called the Eagles, not the Iron Eagles.
Yeah.
That's later in the film.
I'm so sorry.
Just want to make sure you get it right.
I never do. That's the problem.
Now,
with
I
me.
was hoping that they'd have F-15 Strike Eagles in this, but no, they used the
No.
F-16 Falcons.
Well, you know, you
here
get.
we are back in Durkistan.
Meanwhile, in Durkistan.
Oh my God.
Very phallic.
Remember the super secret signal?
Yeah. It's you know, in the 1980s, the bad guys, you had 2, maybe 3 choices.
There, see, Tony Shalhoub. Telling you, I'm not letting this go.
Just
Okay, all
just
right.
agree with her.
Okay,
Like we
Tony
do with our
Shalhoub.
wives. Yes, dear. It's
Yes, you're
perfect.
absolutely correct.
Yes,
Ew.
it's Tony Shalhoub.
Ugh. So where did that wave come from? So I know that in different decades of movies, it's like a certain nationality of people who are the distinct bad guys for like 10 years at a time.
Yes.
For a while, it was the Russians.
Yes.
Sometimes they're from the Middle East. Sometimes they're from South
The North
America.
Koreans.
It
Like,
was a short list in the 80s. you
Yeah.
know. Well, first and foremost, you had the bad guys, the Soviets. I mean,
Right.
that was your you know, major league bad guy team with
Yeah.
the Soviets. Lesser, you could have drug cartels. You know,
you could have hoods
yeah,
and toughs.
Hoodlums?
Yeah, you could just have random street toughs, but as far as like groups of people, it was
No, I
the
know. I was asking about
Russians,
nationalities. Yeah.
the cartels, the Middle East, generic terrorists.
Mm.
Those were always great. And that was kind of it as far as your
Those were
action movie
the big
bad
3.
guys. You know, I mean, think of an action movie or an alien. You could have an alien,
Aliens. Yeah.
and that pretty much covers it.
I love the unnecessary character development in this movie, like the dance scene at prom.
I love it.
Oh, it's
I
fantastic.
absolutely fucking love it.
But you got his buddy who's just like straight up getting down at prom.
Oh
with-
my gosh.
But doesn't it look fun?
It
Oh,
does.
it looks
Doesn't it look so
amazing.
fun?
And he can dance better than I. Oh my. Is that him or a stunt man? I don't know. But
You didn't see his face when he did it, so
No.
I don't know. I believe.
I think it could have been him.
He
I
can throw
agree.
a javelin in Revenge of the Nerds very
Yeah.
well. He had very kind of limp
Can we not go one movie without that
I
coming up?
can't. It's my.
When are we doing that? Is that
It's got to happen.
okay?
It's the 80s.
Well, we just do it next.
Yes.
Let's just do Revenge of the Nerds.
I thought he'd already picked something else.
Well, we want to.
It doesn't matter.
We
We
want
can
to
stick with
break
the
up
80s for a
jet
minute.
films. with
That's a good
something.
point.
That,
That's a
yeah,
good.
Let's break it up a little
okay.
bit.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, all right. So let's do Revenge of the Nerds next. All
I
right.
love it.
We are actually coming up on our first break.
Okay.
So we will be back in about 1 second. And we're back.
Hello.
No.
And
So what were you just saying about the jets,
I just
Mr.
couldn't
Brown?
help but notice that they had like a reclined look about them, like they were relaxing.
that's
Their heads were
that's
lounging.
accurate. Yeah, that's accurate for the F-16.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
okay.
Yeah, it's you're laid back a lot. What isn't accurate is where the stick is, because audiences at the time were just used to the stick being in the middle,
Right,
like
right.
in a World War II plane. But
Yep.
on the F-16, they're both on the side.
Ah, okay. That's cool.
Yeah,
And,
the throttle, the throttle's over here, the stick is over here. But it's actually, when they first made it, the stick didn't move, and it was like hand pressure would do it, and the pilots hated it.
Right.
So they actually had to rejigger it so it would actually move a little bit.
More
I always
play.
learn
More
something from
play.
you.
Yeah.
It's awesome. But
It's a hell of a plane, and it's still flying.
Oh, yeah.
We're still using them. You know,
and
it's awesome.
something we have to mention about Doug Masters is that what does he do while he's flying, gentlemen? What's his distinct bad behavior?
We haven't even
We have to mention that.
touched
It's
on
a
the
huge
music.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got his little 80s cassette player.
Yeah, yeah.
You even see him at one point. I had such a nostalgic wave hit me because he opened his cassette player and then was like winding the tape backwards because apparently the tape had warped.
They would eat tapes occasionally.
Oh, yeah.
And you
Yeah.
got good with a pencil.
Yep.
When I was a kid, I thought the coolest thing was the fact that he had that tape recorder on his leg, like that. I just thought,
Especially when he like
badass is
stumbles
that?
out of the Cessna with it.
Yeah. Well, it's established early on in the movie that anytime Doug Masters is doing anything that involves velocity, driving a car, flying a Cessna, whatever, he has to have his music on.
He's rocking out, man.
And he is such an 80s kid and an 80s pilot that he sucks when he doesn't have his
without the
music.
He needs the vibe.
Yeah, but if he has his music, he can kill anyone in the sky.
Well, because
you know?
when he finally convinces good old Chappy to help him out with this plan to save his dad, Chappy tries to get him to turn off the music, and they're practicing shooting, and he can't hit a damn thing. And then he's like, okay, you know what? We're doing this my way, Chappy, which is so 80s. And then, of course, he's the most accurate shot in the entire Air Force once his music comes on. So
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, the song, the One Vision song from
a lot of Queen. A lot of Queen here.
That's still to this day one of my favorite songs. And it's actually not the first time I heard it in a movie because it's in Highlander. It's actually on the Highlander soundtrack.
Yes.
Well,
and it's not on the Iron Eagle soundtrack.
No.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't released with it. But yeah, a lot of Queen.
But like the music apparently makes him shoot more accurately and fly faster. Because later in the movie,
They were delayed by 7 minutes. They were able to close the gap by cranking some
3
tunes.
minutes.
Yeah.
Well, and
apparently that's a thing.
Yeah.
It's normal.
And the other song, the other song that I think most stuck with me from my childhood, though, has got to be "We're Not Going to Take It."
That one, and what was he playing when he actually went to go get his dad?
The
last song that was playing. But yeah, "We're Not Going to Take It," and then well,
see, Proud Mary's in it, but it's not. I'm trying to think of the ones that he's playing. Dio's on the soundtrack. And there's a Queen cover too. I can't remember all the but no, the soundtrack is absolutely fucking phenomenal. It's a very 80s soundtrack, and it just adds so much silly texture to the movie because it actually is a part of his character. Now, Louis Gossett Jr., he does a very 80s thing. In fact, probably one of the most 80s things you can do in a movie.
Do tell.
Die. But not really.
He shot down.
He shot
There's
down.
no way in hell he survived that. I'm telling
Chappy!
you.
But it's okay.
Texted that to the boys when he yelled
You
it.
did. I was like, what is she saying that for? And then I watched the movie.
Chappy!
But it's okay
so
because he
dramatic.
punched out over the med.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The water's warm.
I had to doggy paddle a little bit, man.
No, he was picked up by what does he say? He was picked up by a fishing boat or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
After some doggy paddling is what he said.
So they do go on a successful, flight across an ocean. We're not entirely sure which ocean.
Atlantic, according to this article.
They do go that way. Okay.
I know.
It seems like the worst possible
and especially
way
if
of doing this.
like I said, he's on the borders of Switzerland in 15 minutes. This is from Poland, right? It's a long way away. It's just,
and you know what
it makes no sense.
Yeah, you know what they didn't have back then at all was GPS. So, they had inertial stuff, but still, you have to think that people are going to notice that there are F-16s flying around that nobody knows why they're there, even though apparently they faked orders and all that stuff. I don't know.
And in more 70s fashion than 80s fashion, every single thing that they shoot from those F-16s explodes like on a Michael Bay level.
Oh, yeah. Everything in the 80s exploded.
Yeah.
If you kicked a poodle, it would explode.
Well, cars blew up in
yeah.
the 70s. Apparently, everything else blew up in the 80s.
Yeah, okay, I could see that.
If you kicked a poodle. Now I kind of want to see that on Family Guy or something.
What was that Steven Spielberg film where the truck was following McLeod? Duel.
Duel.
Do you know that truck did not explode at the very end, and it was a huge fight. Spielberg did not want it to explode, and the
what's
the
his
people that
problem?
produced it. Well, he wanted to do something different and realistic.
That's why he became Spielberg.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you should read about that. It's pretty cool.
That's a cool movie.
That's why he did a movie about dinosaurs at one point, right?
Yeah.
I heard it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And also, just as a quick side story, I don't know all the details, but there's another famous actor who was on leave while he was in the military in Seattle, and his plane got canceled. His flight got canceled. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
And so he hitched a ride in a fighter plane, but there wasn't anything. It was either a intel gathering plane or something. There was no room in the cockpit, so he had to go into the place where the radio was and just kind of crouch
He
down.
was hanging onto the buffer.
and it crash landed in the ocean. Ran out of fuel.
What?
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
Who is
And
this?
Clint Eastwood.
Are you shitting me?
No,
Get out of here.
Are you fucking shitting
the love
me?
of your life, Clint Eastwood?
I do respect him even more. But no, he almost died because he was in the
You
back
don't
compartment,
say.
so he didn't have a raft.
Yeah.
And he just saw this light in the distance, and he swam
he
toward
squinted
it.
at
He
it.
squinted because all the best cowboys have Chinese eyes, of course. And he squinted and he saw it.
Oh,
and-
man.
I'm not fast enough.
What,
Damn
did I say something wrong?
No.
Just a
no.
scotch.
Oh, but he swam, and it was a lighthouse, and he was hypothermic and almost died.
And they haven't made a movie about this?
They should.
Seriously.
Yeah.
His
I'm
kid could do it.
I'm
Oh my
surprised-
God, his super handsome son that looks just
Yeah,
like him.
looks just
Yeah.
like Clint Eastwood.
Little extra trivia.
Yeah, no, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I never knew that. They should put. I'm surprised that didn't just make it into a movie. Like, not even if it's about that, but just do
Yeah,
that.
even if it's just part of the story. Yeah.
Clint, do you want to do this? We're gonna do this. No.
Sure.
No, I'm not
Okay.
gonna do it.
All right. Clint says no. So Chappy and Doug make it to Turkistan. They fight their way through the same two mirages over and over again. Look, they're expensive, okay?
Well, and
You
every
know,
time
yeah.
the guns fire from the plane, it's the exact same footage, like every single time.
Yeah. I just noticed the Cobras. I don't know why I never noticed the Cobras before.
And it does not matter.
NATO clearly.
Yeah,
NATO
I
Cobras or
guess
something.
the Israelis also had Cobras, so they let them
and he
use
blows
those.
them up.
Yeah. Well, because he has unlimited weapons. He's got God mode turned on.
Yes.
Yeah. And unlimited fuel,
Unlimited
evidently,
fuel.
until we get to the end of the movie, and then it gets very dramatic because they've got to. Because here's the geography: somewhere in America, going to Turkistan, and then they decide that they're going to make it to Germany.
Yeah.
Ramstein.
Yeah.
Or Stone. It wasn't Ramstein.
Yeah,
either.
but
They-
Ramstein.
They mispronounced it.
Du Hast.
Yes. Du hast.
Du hast mich.
What's so funny?
I
That's
just wasn't
perfect
expecting
German.
that.
What? Du hast mich.
I wasn't expecting that.
I seen them live once. It was
Oh,
awesome.
man.
No, it's every time I hear the band Ramstein.
Oh, yeah, no, that's what it made me think of,
That's
yeah.
what it's, so they fight their way through, and Chappy is gone. We think that Chappy is dead. He's been shot down by a mirage.
But Chappy was clearly-
that Doug is already shot down 3 times.
But Chappy was clearly anticipating this because he's speaking Doug's love language by having recorded a tape
Oh.
to walk him through this plan.
It's so
Fully
silly.
having known that, he was going to eat it.
warm showers together?
It's so silly.
It was very intimate, their relationship.
It was.
In fact,
you
when
know.
he said, get into my trailer, I started to feel a little uncomfortable. Get into my trailer now.
See, I
Anyway, that's just me.
didn't pick up on that as a kid.
Yeah. No, not as a kid.
Yeah.
But as a
No,
scoutmaster, that's all I.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Damn.
You gotta be careful.
God.
Always have 2 adults present.
We got to leave this world behind, Jason. I'm telling you. Or just leave this one behind.
yeah.
My God.
So Chappy does somehow know precisely when he's going to die, and he does leave a tape recorded message for Doug. That it's like
Before
it's almost,
they ever take off, obviously.
it's almost comical because it's like the recording could say, "Oh, by the way, Doug, look behind you. There's a plane over there."
Basically.
No, not that one. The other one.
By now, I'm sure you've made it to Turkistan.
Yeah.
And he says something like that twice. He's like, by now, I'm sure you're on your way to Germany. And you're just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
How did he know?
Holy shit, this F-16 has got a lot of weapons.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate.
No wonder they started running out of fuel. They have every weapon in the entire Air Force.
Those guys at General Dynamics know what they're doing. They're never going. Oh, wait.
That was
never mind.
The hedonistic missile or the Hades missile.
The Hades missile. Yeah. David Suchet, though. David Suchet decides Poirot will go up there personally to deal with this American.
Much like Strike Zone, remember?
Well, you got the villain.
You mean the greatest movie that was ever made?
Yes. Yes, I do.
And it is superior to this movie because I didn't hear anything about tap dancing elephants and Iron Eagle.
Elephants. Yeah.
Those Iraqi sonar boys are on headset when we lash them. Their ears are going to be ringing so bad that we could drive a truckload of tap dancing elephants right past them. They wouldn't hear a thing.
Not a single one.
That was actually Roger Ebert's reason for not giving it 2 thumbs up.
The tap dancing elephants. I tried to get them to write it out, but they wouldn't. And it was my best part.
It was like Spielberg with the explosion.
Won't do it. But and I love this extra, layer of explosions too, because at one point there's just a raging blaze going across the airstrip, and every car that drives through it
explodes.
Explodes.
Yeah, and they just use air show explosions where it's literally just like buried tanks of naphtha or something, and just blow those up.
Even when he's just shooting with bullets, like it doesn't even have to be an incendiary.
Yeah,
when the cell phone tower even hit the tent, it blew up like it was filled with C4 explosives.
Well, maybe it was.
Maybe John McClane left those there.
Yes,
you don't know.
He could have.
Maybe that's where all their poodles were. It was just a massive
when
poodle
they fly,
explosion.
what is that little puffs of smoke that I see? Every time they fly, it's like little puffs of smoke. I thought
in the cockpit views?
Yeah. It's almost like they're passing through clouds, but someone was just kind of blowing a hit of weed or something.
I think they're adding some texture.
Okay, it's beautiful.
Or if they're using footage, the background footage, from an actual flight that might be the wingtip vapor, as the plane's moving.
I loved this. They get the dad out of the back of the trunk, make him walk all the way around, and then he scoots over to the driver's seat. I didn't understand that.
There's dramatic effect.
Oh, no, I didn't know Americans could drive.
He thought it was an English vehicle at first, and then slid on over.
I guess so.
So big advertisement for the F-16, though. I mean, really the star of the movie.
Oh, big time.
And Mr. Brown, you'll appreciate the fact that it is named the Viper, because that is a reference to
the Colonial Viper from Battlestar Galactica.
Exactly. How cool!
Nerds.
How cool do you have to be to get that kind of a nickname?
And they just send the dad cruising down the airstrip. And this is clearly going to work. I mean, I have no doubt that this plan.
I'm totally not going to get shot. I'm going to jump up and down.
Well, and the kid, Doug is busy blowing up all their oil reserves.
How do you not see the sniper?
Because all the oil reserves are in the same neighborhood.
Yes.
In Durkistan.
It's a very small place.
Apparently. And so, Tony Shalhoub has his dad shot when he
Through
goes
the heart,
to land.
And he lives.
Somehow.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And the dad,
and
like,
the SD
suddenly,
monorockets.
it's like he got, it's like the dad got shot in the leg once Doug finally is able to land. He's like, Dad, can you walk? And
well, yeah. And that I will say, because there are certain things that even as a kid, you went, hang on.
He was shot through the shoulder and he's limping?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
That dude, there's no way that dude lived. I actually think
you live.
I actually think this is the movie that actually, even as a kid, I went, how do you think they would have run out of ammo by now?
Oh, yeah.
And I back then did not appreciate the fact that, airplanes carry like 8 seconds worth of gun ammunition.
Yeah.
It's literally, you got about 8 or 9 seconds and you're done. You better make it count.
Mm-hmm.
But
usually the dogfight is the last resort.
Yeah.
not the first thing you do.
But in the 1980s,
that's true.
That's just what you did.
Especially if you're Tom Cruise.
If you were a Top Gun.
Yeah. See, and it's funny because I don't see the comparison between this and Top Gun because they're both airplane movies. I get that.
Well, there was a review that basically said it was just kind of a ridiculous cash grab on the, jumping on the same ship as Paramount for making Top Gun. It wasn't necessarily that it ripped off of Top Gun minus the planes. Like that's...
Well, if you hear rumor that a studio is making a film,
yeah,
competing studios try to make a similar film and beat it out of the gate.
Yeah, especially when
like
they don't.
Robin Hood and Tombstone. Remember when Tombstone was made, and then it was Wyatt Earp, and then Robin Hood, and
Wyatt Earp, the most boring movie ever made.
I know, but it's like a big deal.
I've made it through once, and I just
that was a reference to Citizen Kane, but whatever.
Yeah.
No, but the difference. This article says that Iron Eagle's story is much more of a classic war film plot, like the following the formula of a rebellious hero who faces down faceless foreign threats, but this time it's personal, which a Mel Gibson movie would be comprised of that. Whereas Top Gun's success is in the fact that the movie has no major external protagonist until its final dogfight.
Right.
And that's only in there just as a, we have to have it, we can't end this movie without a dogfight.
Yeah, we've been promising all this action with the planes.
90% of Top Gun takes place in California.
Right.
Fighter
town.
And Tom Cruise was the good guy and the bad guy, because you're talking about his insubordination the entire time, but he ends up saving the guy at the end, and it's just, okay, he flips his script a little bit.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely not a typical military story.
Yeah, this is not to say that Top Gun is a very thoughtful movie. It is, in its own way. Iron Eagle is
so many whitey-tighties.
Yeah, much less tighty-whitey.
And do planes come with rope ladders?
No, because there are multiple guys wearing them.
Yeah. What?
In Top Gun.
Yeah, I know, but it's tighty-whitey, not whitey-tighty.
I said tighty-whiteys.
Okay.
Whatever.
We'll play it back and listen.
So many whitey-tighties.
Whitey-tighties.
For the love of God. You guys suck.
Yeah.
Anyway, so gentlemen, would we like to know?
Yes, we do.
Sure. I'd love to.
Say it. I want to know it.
Well, in comparison to Iron Eagle having almost immediate sequels throughout the 80s and 90s, none of which were successful, this woman whose article I loved, Cathal Gunning, she said that it's amazing that movies like this got immediate sequels, yet Top Gun waited 35 years to do its, and Ghostbusters Afterlife also had a huge gap.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason for that, and it's the people behind Ghostbusters and the people behind Top Gun were big enough.
Different.
Well, they were big enough people that the studio couldn't just go, "Hey, Bruckheimer, we're gonna," or not Bruckheimer. Who did Top Gun?
I thought it was Bruckheimer.
It was Bruckheimer. Okay,
no.
But they couldn't come in and go, "Hey, we're doing a sequel to Top Gun." Okay.
Oh, it wasn't Bruckheimer.
It wasn't.
No, Bruckheimer
Michael
did.
Bay?
No, it wasn't. It was a guy that just recently passed on, actually. Scott something or something Scott?
Hold on. I'm looking for it. Keep talking.
Top Gun director.
This is I'm editing.
Audience members, call in.
Yeah, I'm going to edit out us not.
1-800-555-1212. Call in now if you know who the director was.
The difference between this and a movie like Top Gun, though, or a movie like Ghostbusters, is if you have people who have enough gravitas.
Tony Scott.
Tony
Scott
yeah,
directed it. Yeah.
Tony Shalhoub.
You can't. Yeah, he's in everything.
She hurt me.
But you can't just do the cash grab sequels, because their contracts are written so that it doesn't work like that. It's not like, that's why Spielberg got sort of shoehorned into doing Jaws 2 because of the contract.
Mm-hmm.
But with Top Gun, Tony Scott's, no, I'm not doing a sequel, and you can't do it without my permission.
And there's an argument to be made for that anticipation of the 35-year gap between the original and the sequel, because guess what Ghostbusters Afterlife grossed worldwide off of a $75 million budget?
That was a lot.
$476 million.
It was actually
832, 204 million.
Yeah, and then Top Gun.
Well, the Top Gun was a billion plus.
$170 million budget, worldwide gross of $1.496 billion.
Yeah. Well,
and you know what Tom Cruise got of that?
$100 million.
$1.396 billion.
No, he got 20%.
Yeah,
20% of gross.
So with a movie like Iron Eagle, though, if the director, the writer, everyone involved says we're not doing a sequel, the studio just goes, well, piss off.
We'll do it anyway, right?
And that's exactly what they did. And the sequels to Iron Eagle are some of the most bizarre decisions. They represent some of the weirdest directions you could go.
Do we have returning actors in them? Was it the same?
Well, I remember as a kid when I saw Iron Eagle 2. So I'm like, oh man, it's Iron Eagle 2. Like, I can't believe this is going to be awesome. And it starts off, and here's, Doug Masters, and he's in the Air Force, and he's flying his F-16, and he's like, yeah, like he's made it. And then he gets killed immediately. The first 5 minutes of the movie.
Now I need to see it.
Yeah, the first 5 minutes of the movie, they kill Doug Masters.
Damn.
The same actor?
Same actor.
Oh.
Kill him dead. And then
Wait, he didn't fall into the med?
No, he was dead. Well, it's funny you say that.
Oh, man.
Because again, this is why the whole Iron Eagle saga is very bizarre.
Okay.
So in the second movie, it's like Soviet and American people are going to get together and they're going to go beat some country that got a nuke. It's terrible. It's absolutely awful. And Louis Gossett Jr. is in it, and he's in all four of them. That he's the thread.
Yeah, he's kind of the
them.
centerpiece.
Then the third one is just ridiculous. It's like drug dealers and there's a Nazi in it. Seriously, and
are they bringing in a heroin shipment?
Yeah, it's like there's a Nazi in South America. He does drug deals, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
And it's
the Lost Ark was in it.
Yeah,
they were going after the Lost Ark.
Yeah, we are.
And Chappy flies old planes, and so you have like a Japanese guy flying an old Japanese plane. You have a German guy flying an old German plane, and they're going to go down there and they're going to
a Stuka.
They're going to it's stupid. But then the fourth one came out, and the fourth one they just retconned the whole thing. They literally opened the fourth one with the same scene that they opened the second one. Only this time, Doug doesn't get killed.
So they
alternate beginning.
It's an alternate beginning. He ejects, and he's captured, and then the movie goes on from there. But it's a different actor.
They go full Bruce Campbell with it. Where
they just toss it out the window, which is fine.
Okay.
It's a reboot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of the sequels. It's a weird.
Yeah, it's very
the
Evil
weirdest
Dead.
thing.
It's just like it kicks off on a totally different note, but whatever.
And every one of them just
Darby.
flopped completely. But they went direct to video, and
they must have made something.
They made it on direct to video. That was.
I can mention that. So they had a sequel in '88, and then the one in '92, the fourth film in '95. With the first one earning $10 million, while the second made a paltry 2.5. So it just got decidedly worse with the sequels.
Yeah, it was enough to justify greenlighting another one.
I guess so. It's ridiculous.
We had to wait at Blockbuster for it to get returned, right?
Which is a very old sentence.
Yeah.
But so
Nobody was waiting around for 3 and 4 though. No. By that point, I mean it's so weird to think that the fourth one was 1995. It's like the fourth one, I was 16 years old when it came out. It's your audience is kind of not
aging out.
Yeah, they're not with you, especially because we had VHS and I could just go watch Iron Eagle again.
Yeah,
and probably did.
Well, that makes me think of Friends when Joey's like, I got Die Hard and Die Hard 2. And then Ross pulls out the second tape and he's like, Joey, this is just Die Hard 1 again. And he's like, cool, so Die Hard 2. You just watched it over and over and it was better than the sequel.
That is a very true statement right there. Die Hard 2. We'll have to do that one of these days.
Isn't that the one where Jeremy Irons does like naked yoga or something?
Naked yoga, yeah, it's got naked yoga in it.
I couldn't remember which one that was, but
the way the story sort of wraps up, Doug eventually lands and he gets his father on board his F-16. He's got the back seat. He takes the car seat out, moves the McDonald's wrappers out of the way. Dad gets in. They fly to Germany. And then everything's okay. Except Chappie's still dead.
Oh, shucks.
But wait a minute.
Twist time?
Chappie. Doug is arrested, obviously, for his incredible super crime.
Court-martial your ass, kid.
They can't even court-martial him. He's a civilian.
He's not even in the Air Force.
They'll probably court-martial his dad just cause.
But they did something even more illogical. Because, they're standing in front of... Go ahead. You explain it.
Well, he's about to go into a tribunal and find his fate, even though he's a civilian, and he should just be in a courtroom.
Yeah.
And a surprise witness shows up, and it's none other than our dear friend Chappie, who is not dead.
Not even a scratch.
Oh, he's fine.
He looks perfect.
He punched out over the med. He was picked up by a fishing boat.
God.
There you go.
He didn't hit the canopy on the way out.
No, see, yeah. Jesus, Goose. So, well, it's Navy versus Air Force. Just kidding. I don't got a dog in
You
that
guys are a
fight.
mess. But yeah, so what happens, Jason, that makes even less sense than court-martialing a civilian?
Well, the Air Force is about to presumably send Doug Masters to Leavenworth for the next 75 years.
San Quentin.
Yeah. But then Chappy comes up with a brilliant solution that instead of sending him to Leavenworth, they should send him to the United States Air Force Academy.
Someplace where they'll keep him quiet for a long, long time.
Well, because they were going to let him off scot-free by simply saying, don't ever talk about this mission ever again, or else you will get the full extent of the law. Throw the book at you. But then Chappie's like, no, you definitely need to put him in an institution where he'll stay quiet.
Yeah, and it looks like Chappie's trying to screw him.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
like, I know, that's too lenient. No, you got to do something mean to him. Like,
Well-
send him to the Air Force Academy.
Well, they had to have some sort of fatherly callback because when they're in the F-16s in the beginning, Doug says something about like, oh, are you going to be hard on me like my dad turned me into a man? And he's like, nah, your dad did a good job about that. But then he pulls this shit at the end at the tribunal. So
Louis Gossett Jr. is awesome.
He
I'm sorry.
is
He's
awesome.
fucking awesome. Just the look on his face.
he'd punch a great
And-
white in the face.
And it does sort of like you could bend logic enough to say that if they're so embarrassed, if the Air Force and the government are so embarrassed about this,
that like an
let's-
18-year-old could pull this
let's
shit off.
put him in and we'll get him through the academy and then he'll be in the service and then we can absolutely control what he says. Whereas if we put him in jail, he's going to talk. He's going to tell people.
He'll sing like a
He'll sing like
canary.
a canary. At his trial, he will tell.
Snitches get stitches.
Yeah. And that would have made an
I think
interesting
that's from the
sequel.
80s. That turn of phrase. But yeah, so of course now you have your Star Wars moment at the end where everybody,
yes.
everybody shows up and they're all happy. And
You
the
can
dad
fast
just
forward through that.
the dad
right?
just sprained his shoulder from
Yeah,
that
well-
from getting shot.
Well, again, in the 80s, if you were shot and you had like a sucking chest wound and organs were falling out, you ended up with a sling.
Yeah.
And the
That's how
mom
they treated everything.
that
Here's
fixed
some,
everything.
here's some Motrin.
Yeah.
Well, we've got to talk about the mom really quickly because she's so calm throughout this entire movie, which is so not 80s, Like the mom's usually the more hysterical one, like freaking out about everybody's safety.
She's
But
a military mom,
she
military
Yeah.
wife.
Fair enough, but she to the point where she's so calm that
she's
she
used to
sends
so much bullshit.
Side story, she was going to ask him for a divorce when he got back. She thought, hey, how convenient. Tie up the loose ends, have him hung. I get a pension for the rest of my life.
damn.
Hanged.
Hanged.
Yep.
Have him hanged.
Fix it.
Boy, how pissed off would she be? If it was, Son of a- I can't leave him now.
Son,
Okay.
I told you to sit tight.
But,
But you
like,
did.
but one of her lines was the funniest to me, despite the fact that it was supposed to be a sincere, like, emotional moment after Doug's graduation from high school. Because she's like, well, I didn't want to upset you before the ceremony, son, but they're going to hang your dad. And he was like, how long has he got, Ma? 3 days.
About a minute and a half once they drop him out of the.
I was just like,
The
that
news.
It's re-
moment bombed.
It's really fast, son. As soon as they pull the thing, it's pretty
Believer.
much over.
Yeah.
How long? No, how long does he have? Oh, probably about 6 feet. If, like that.
Depends on if his neck snaps or not.
He's got just enough for a wacky scheme.
So not everybody's Brendan Fraser. They can't survive an actual hanging.
Right.
So,
Yes.
but yeah, so on top of everything else, Doug gets to keep Chappie's wings.
Yeah,
So sweet.
And it's a nice token.
it is.
I
It
mean,
is.
would you let somebody have your dolphins, Mr. Brown? That's a no.
Ooh.
Anyway.
I thought you were going to ask me for them. No, actually, my engineer gave me his shoulder boards when I became a lieutenant.
Aw.
I still
Really?
cherish them. Yeah, he was lieutenant commander. He gave me his
That's pretty.
shoulder
That's
boards.
pretty fucking boss.
That was so cool.
I just scared the hell out of this man. That was
You
awesome.
did. Get your hands off my dolphin.
It's
Never.
easy. Just tell her no.
Yeah.
Slappy Chino Fats Williams. There he is.
There's not a single Chicano tough in this movie. What the hell?
no, I don't see.
I guess
any-
it is
yeah.
the Air Force. They
well,
wouldn't
but
be there.
we're gonna guard.
And plus, it's no longer the
guard at.
70s. We're in the 80s now. So
Yeah, it was more sophisticated.
Yeah.
Did they have a blue background during the original credits? It looks like they modified that.
It's. I think they did. I think it did have a blue background.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah.
hey, that guy
Air
spells
Force
his last
Blue.
name the same way I do.
Wow.
Meg Rogers.
Nice.
Anyway,
Off to Seinfeld,
Yeah.
fellas. Straight 5 for me. So, what about the two of you?
It's got to be a straight 5 for me because, I mean, I've seen the movie
Still perfect.
10,000 times. And it's that needle's not moving.
I'm going to give it a 6. I enjoyed it more this time.
And why is that?
As always, because of the insight that you two provided into the film. I was watching in the theater saying, that wouldn't happen. Nah, he couldn't do that. I was a little more than child.
So, and you're not mad at him? I was saying the exact same stuff.
Well,
No.
because he saw it at the time.
Yes.
Oh, whatever.
I did.
Yeah, he wasn't, how
I was
old is-
negative 2 years old. I had no chance of seeing it at the
Well,
time.
right, yeah, no, look, I totally get it. I mean, it's a movie from my childhood. People aren't going to have the same reaction. You know, if you sat down today and you watched The Dark Crystal for the first time, it wouldn't scare the shit out of you.
I never saw it because my parents knew it would scare the shit out of me.
When I was a kid, it scared the fuck out of me.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it was terrifying. Watch it today for the first time, and it's just, it's a movie.
Yeah.
You know? So no, I mean, it's like everything else. I mean, it sort of just depends on, where you were in life.
Oh, absolutely.
When you watched it,
When I saw Red Dawn, I thought, that's believable.
Yeah.
I thought I could do that. I was from Central Pennsylvania. We had guns. I was going to defend my town against the entire Soviet army. Easy.
That's where
Easy peasy.
The remake of that movie was so dumb because they replaced the Soviets with the North Koreans. And honestly, people would be just lining up to go, where are they? They're going here. Give me guns.
Exactly.
Like no one's afraid of them.
Poor Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Hey, he got a paycheck.
He got a pretty good paycheck.
And now he's Thor, so yeah, he's doing all right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, yeah, no, it was a great film. Thank you for sharing it with me.
Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, I wanted to pick something that was not middle of the road, but I didn't want to pick like a terrible 80s movie or the greatest 80s movie ever. I just wanted an 80s movie, something that was absolutely couldn't have been made in any decade other than
Perfect formula.
the 1980s.
Yep.
Yeah.
You accomplished that plan, Jason. You
Yeah, it was my
accomplished it.
me and Louis Gossett Jr. hatched a plan to do this. So that's actually why he made the movie. See,
Wow. He knows everything that's going to happen in advance.
Yeah.
Where's your video cassette or your tape cassette where he's telling you to do this movie?
Dude, if I could, I would have one of those on my leg all the time. And I would always play music in like awkward situations.
Jason, by now you're in a podcast studio with these two idiots making a movie.
Let me play music to make it go by faster.
But it's okay because we've got a plan.
And Amazon is automatically playing Top Gun next.
Oh.
So
Top Gun Maverick, or was it regular?
I couldn't tell. It's just a little
too
thing at the bottom of the
fast.
screen. That is our introduction to the 1980s. If you haven't heard about the 1980s, we encourage you to go to your local library and look up a book on it. It was wonderful.
Or a VHS tape.
Yeah, or a VHS tape. And if you don't know what a VHS tape is, go to your local library. They still use them. And
Along with overhead projectors.
Yes, yeah. But we hope that you enjoyed our first foray into the 1980s. Next week, we will be back with something else. It might be Revenge of the Nerds. It might be something else. You'll have to tune in to find out. And so, guys, why don't you take us home?
Absolutely. Guys, once again, thank you for joining us into our first foray with the 80s. We appreciate you hanging out for your drive time, your F-16 time, your Chappy Sinclair time. We don't care what kind of time. This has been Darth, Adam, and Jason with Iron Eagle on Hindsight. And good night.